You, sir, are the first person who has, responded to my, like, hey guys, come and do some TNE with me video. And I am seriously, I mean, you can probably see, I'm like seriously excited. I've got my Gaiwan full of some ripe pu-erh ready to brew.
Lovely.
What are you drinking?
So, this morning I've got a little chai tea bag, nothing too fancy, but a great morning beverage for me.
Solid, yeah. And when you drink your chai, is this, could you share with us your preferred brand of chai tea baggery?
I sure can. Right now it's Nature's Cup. However, with that said, you can't be making your fresh with all the herbs and spices. So that's my preferred method, but today I opted for a more accessible route, which is just a Nature's Cup. But I feel like it just it just sets the mood for me. It's like, okay, have a cup of chai, ground myself a bit, and then see where the day takes me.
Everybody's got a thing, but some don't know how to handle it. Always reaching out in vain, just taking the things not worth having.
Hit us. What is it you want to interrogate or get an answer for? There we go. Yeah, get an answer for.
My question is, how can I best serve? One of my questions.
How can I best serve?
Yes.
As in general, as in how can I best serve like the universe? How can I best serve the world, other sentient creatures? Just generally, how can I best serve?
How can I best serve? Maybe how can I best be of service to the world?
I mean, it's a really deep question, isn't it? Because, you know, the ego, if you like, which, you know, we could call the personality style, you know, has its ideas of what it thinks is going to bring value to the world. But I get a sense that you're maybe asking this a little bit more like, almost like at an objective level. How can I best serve the world, the universe, and everything beyond? I don't know. I mean, talk a little bit about
It's more so like a purpose
the scaffolding around that question, if you like.
Okay. So I find myself, it was interesting reading the Enneagram details because I definitely see attributes of that playing out in my life. For example, sort of having your eggs in a lot of different baskets and trying to fill them all simultaneously. So I'm asking this question to bring more energy and awareness towards which basket is most which basket is gonna be of the best service with who I am as a person to the world. Like which eggs are gonna taste the best, which is the right basket. Because I find I do have a lot of mental energy and also activity and going here, there, and everywhere. So it's more of a way to trim that down and be more concise with where I direct my energy.
Always reaching out in vain, just taking the things not worth having. Don't you worry about a thing. Don't you worry about a thing, baby. 'Cause I'll be standing on the side when you check it out.
Mountain above and water below, okay? So it's like you're sort of water, and the
Hmm.
question or the thing that needs to be served is mountain. Let's start from that place. Okay, so here's where, okay, here's where I send you my little thing that I generated earlier with Alice.
Yeah.
Because I think this could be a cool way to kind of go, really jump in deep on this.
Mm.
I'm gonna send it to you on WhatsApp so you can see. So what I did was I was thinking about the trigrams as I often do, and I said to Alice, give me like 50 words for each trigram that really capture the absolute essence of the trigram, both historically, spiritually, psychologically, just like the absolute essence in a way,
Mm.
but like
I
in
like it.
50, just in 50 words, right? So what I'm going to suggest is what just a, I don't know, fun, weird fun thing is
Mm.
if you're water on this question, which is about how can I best serve,
Hmm.
if you have a look at the 50 words on water, and then before even speaking to the trigram, just read through it and read out any words that in some way resonate with you in this moment, in the water, in the water dimension.
Navigating fear,
Hmm.
um, introspection, formlessness,
Hmm.
nourishment, adaptability, and transformation.
It's interesting because the words you read, it's almost like they were kind of already, I didn't write them all down, but they was already sort of, some of them had, it sort of started with the tremulousness, that sort of fearfulness, the jitteriness almost of water, but then water also can kind of settle, right? And it can become,
Mm.
I guess, more like lake, which
Mm.
is, that very settled space of water. What do you think in that watery dimension of yourself? What is the fear about with regard to serving? Because you could say, in terms of like, I suppose, a sort of Taoist idea, right? That wherever your energies and the energies of the universe merge, that will be the service. It doesn't even
Mhm.
need a kind of plan or a path. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's a Taoist, but that would be like a sort of a response to the jitteriness.
When you get fooled by smiling faces, don't you worry about a thing. Don't you worry about a thing. Cause I'll be standing on the side when you check it out. And you get off your trip.
Where is the fear, though, do you think, in the waters with regard to service?
Hmm. Well, the fear is definitely an energy in and of itself. And I feel like it can be navigating that energy not only within myself, but within others as well. Um,
In what sense within others? I mean, fear very often is it's generated within the self. But how do
mm,
you feel with regard to serving? Yeah, is it like, I don't know, do you have pressures on you, societal or parental or other family pressures that you should be serving? I don't know, the life of the universe in one way rather than another way. Where does that come out from others?
I guess when I say the fear in others, it's like navigating like staying on your path and not letting someone else's fear get in the way of your own trajectory or your own clarity, because I find fear being like, you know, that murkiness underneath the water. As soon as you hit that level, it can be really hard to see what's there, and in other words, hard to navigate like within that realm or within that space. So what's coming through right now is more so like the clarity needed to navigate that domain.
Yeah. And that's hard to get, I guess, in the realms of water, right? Because water, no matter how still it is, there's always going to be some wind about. There's always going to be some kind of like, well, could be this, it could be that, right? You know, that sort of, and water is always going to have those ripples. So where does the clarity come from? Is it about clarity? 'Cause clarity makes me think of like a surface area, but that's more like sky. Are we not talking more about, okay, if we're in water, right, like going, rather than maybe clarity, is it not more about depth, like going to like your truest values, and or even like for a personality, for your, let's say, a personality archetype, like going to what A.H. Alma's, the diamond approach guy. I don't know if you've ever come across any of his stuff, but he's written this book called Facets of Unity, where he explores sort of the absolute depths of each ego style, personality style, what he calls the sort of holy truths of each style. So kind of like the essence, like the absolute essence, like sort of really what, you know, if like the universe was broken into 9 pieces and you got a particular part of this piece, which your job was to manifest through your human lifespan, this would be this idea of like the holy truth, right? So the question is, I suppose, going into those sort of depths, what do you think? And that's going like more into the gut. I think that's not cognitive. That's just like, this is what it's about. What do you think, like more like from a gut level, your gut is saying is the place to serve? Or is the thing to serve, or the, I don't know, the cause to serve, or whatever?
Tricky question.
Yeah,
because I guess, yeah, I feel like that's what I'm trying to navigate, you know. And so,
and I think it's hard to navigate it when we've got lots of ideas, because what, you know, it's almost like you need your own YouTube channel so that you can then sit and watch the idiot, as I've been doing on this thing, right? In other words, just sit and watch the self do its thing and be like, okay, what is it that actually drives this guy, for good and for bad? Right?
you know what's really funny? A couple of nights ago, I created a new Instagram account, and I called it Self Connect. And my intention with it was to just post more of myself in an authentic way of how I'm receiving any given moment. And I think that's what you're speaking into, you know, like having a place to witness the idiot in a digital domain, and then reflect on that. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I didn't have too much clarity as to why I created that profile. But perhaps there was a knowing that I needed to sit back a bit more and simultaneously put myself out there a bit more, because I feel like, particularly with water, I can get really introspective, and that introspection more often than not leads to like a sort of reclusiveness, or like a shadowy sort of murky aspect of my being, and then I can dwell in that aspect. Whereas I feel like there's a fear there for me to actually show that side of myself, and like just expose that, expose that dirt or that shadow.
Don't you worry about a thing. Don't you worry about a thing. Don't you worry about a
Hello.
Hello,
Hello.
and we're back.
We're back.
Back after Zoom. But I think that like hard cut off Zoom ending, right? Which of course, even though I could see it flashing up on my screen that it was coming, I feel like that too is a sort of part of the oracle, right? Because it's sort of saying you could be having all of these very, very important, interesting thoughts and feelings, because that's at the space where it came in. But then life just comes in and just goes, yeah, but blah, blah, blah. Right?
So
And then it's
true.
like, deal with
Yeah.
that. Okay, shit. Okay, well, let's get the book and start, So
Okay.
your question was, how can I best serve? And then we got and I've just written there like thread ADHD, because I write ADHD because I think that comes up with in the seventh zone, but we've all got a bit of ADHD now, right? I think the ADHD mind, at least as I understand it, experientially as well as clinically, it is sort of at the heart of this, like, oh, well, now I'll serve this, and now I'll serve this, and now I'll serve this, and like, oh, but hang on a second, but can I serve all of these gods and still be at peace with myself and the universe,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
That's a sort of I don't know, that's sort of, is there some of that fear or tremulousness? Because then we generated the water, well, you generated the water hexagram, and we'll come back to that moving line in a moment, but you generated that, and then which got us into the space of water, which is the place. It's this sort of, water can kind of go anywhere in a way, right? It just sort of goes where, and that's the place you are, because you're saying, well, how can I best serve? I'm kind of like water. I can kind of, you can pour me here, you can pour me there.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But this seems to be more where the answer lies, which is mountain. So again, I mean, coming to this, coming to Alice's list, again, what is it of mountain? Because I think maybe mountain is more where the answer is. I mean, in a way, the lower trigram was really just saying where you are. So what is it in mountain? If you could look at mountain and read any of the words that, just without thinking about them, actually, just the words that like
Yeah.
capture something for you.
Stillness, contemplation, reflection,
Hmm.
disciplined, resting place, resilience, presence, self-control, deep grounding, immovable essence. They're the words which stick to me.
Yeah. It's interesting you use the word
Protection from chaos. That's a good one.
protection from.
Protection from chaos.
Hmm. And what is that chaos? Are we talking about like the chaos of the mind? What is the chaos
Oh, most definitely the chaos of the mind.
yeah.
It's definitely.
But what is that chaos ultimately about? Because I mean, we know the mind is water, right? The mind can flow here, there, everywhere. It can, if the mind can attach itself to anything and bring two things together that don't necessarily go together, just like water, it can do all of that. Um, but what is chaotic? Because chaotic has a sort of again, it's sort of chaotic brings in this idea of fear, brings in the sense of rather than like creative chaos, which is like cool, hey, this is all happening. It's more like I get a sense
Yeah,
of like a kind of almost like an untidiness, like there's just too much going on here.
yeah, yeah. And I think it relates to the habits and patterns of the mind. To me, that's where the chaos seem to stem from. It's
Mm,
like, I guess the fear is that darkness of those habits which are so deeply ingrained that you can't see them anymore, or they're just, it's almost like they're playing on autopilot, and the fear is like you won't be able to become aware of them, or it's like too far gone. But yeah, I think the chaos definitely is as simple as being the habits and patterns of the mind and how that generates experience.
mm. And I guess that's a reasonable fear to have, because again, coming back to good old Gurdjieff, right? I mean, his core um, sort of hot take on on existence was that we are all basically kind of asleep to ourselves, and even though he didn't, I guess that's in some way some of the roots of the Enneagram are in there. That the personality styles are they are these zombies in a way. They're kind of like the walking, I don't know, dead or something. They're kind of
Mm.
until, but that's where the mountain seems to come in, right? And all of the words you suggest that came with that stillness, contemplation, because the mountain, I don't know, when you were saying this, it was almost like the Buddha sitting in um some kind of zazen, also contemplating his watery depths.
That's it's funny you mentioned that. That's the photo I put on my Instagram, self connect. It's a Buddha sitting in lotus pose. That's a
Mm.
photo I took in a temple in India, um, at the Ellora Caves, for those who are familiar. And yeah, it's very much that, coming back to that point of stillness where there's an equilibrium, um, which is, which just is.
Don't you worry about a thing. Don't you worry about a thing, baby. Cause I'll be standing on the side when you check it out. Da 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 da. You get off your tree.
For your question, what lands with you? What really lands with you from that?
I feel like that guidance, that guiding force is quite potent, particularly like waiting for the right timing, and in a way like water is always taking the path of least resistance, and it's like removing the resistances within yourself which are blocking the flow of water, or is making the stream take a longer route, or is just blocking the stream in general. Um, yes, and the mountain being that force of discrimination. Like once you come to that point of stillness within yourself, you're more able to discern when the right time is to like let that path of resistance flow, or that remove the barrier between the two rivers in a way. It's like that splitting apart, once you remove the barrier, splitting apart two different bodies of water, then the water can merge and become whole again. And to me, that represents like a role of guidance and teaching in a way through
it's kind of like connect with your inner mountain, right? Connect with your inner Buddha. But I would say, again, from my four perspective, that inner Buddha, who I've always seen the Buddha as like a five figure, very like slightly detached, like looking, like, okay, yeah, like the self, like the editor who watches the idiot, right? I'm not in idiot mode when I'm watching myself on the screen. I'm like, okay, what's this guy about? But with that curiosity of the five, which is also, but that kind of the four, that sort of sense of, but what is this? What is the thread? I still feel like that's something worth focusing on, right? Like, what is, like, if you really were, if you were filming yourself 24/7 and then feeding that to an AI and saying, what am I about here? What is it that really drives me, that I'm really kind of like into or passionate about, that really gets me feeling like this is what life's about, right? I mean, that's your thread. And I feel like you need mountain to be able to see that, to truly also go like, yeah, that is my thread. Yes.
Yeah, fully. Something to sit with, perhaps, and contemplate.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, witness,
Well,
experience more of myself to find.
absolutely. Well, again, the universe is kicking us off the call, but maybe we'll just say goodbye now and we can do a bit of like, chit chat afterwards on WhatsApp. But man, that was so good. That was
That's a
really
pleasure.
good.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for having me.